Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, July 5th or 6th? 6th, yes, today is July 6th and we are on the European account. We need to play 25 more Hunter cards and then get a Rogue or Warrior victory. Let's see if we could get a Rogue or Warrior victory real quick. Tempo Rogue, try that. I want to get through all the news, so let's hop right in. There's a game on Steam called Export Simulator. It's in black and white for no reason. Like, why would you make a game called Export Simulator in black and white? Every single screenshot here seems to just show a pretty bad menu. And this looks like it's just kind of a game, sort of like Plague Inc. Evolved, except for without any of the actual good quality that I would say Plague Inc. Evolved has and deserves. Plague Inc. Evolved also heavily updates their games and supports it. Export Simulator is $3.99. I would not recommend it for anybody. Moving on. Do this.
The light protects me.
And in return, we've got a game called Dungeon Warfare 2. It says it's an indie strategy tower defense game. It has the 8-bit animation style, top-down look. It seems like it's a tower defense game in which people are walking through dungeons and you have, seems like maybe some machines of war that you use instead of towers. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything here special. 10% off for $13.49. Having a 2 behind the name, I suppose, might confuse some people enough to think that the game is good. But it's not going to really trick me in that. Even though this is rated 100% positive for 33 reviews, that feels more like review manipulation than it does a good game. There's certainly things here that indicate it might be a good game, but the graphics are so unappealing. If this was on a cell phone or tablet, maybe then it would work better. So let's go to the developer. The only other game they've made is Dungeon Warfare 1. So let's click here. Let's see, it says 97% of 736% people say this is positive. Honestly though, even with that, I cannot justify buying this game. Dungeon Warfare 1 is only $9.99. Like, I just don't want to cover this game. I don't want to play a
Here we go.
I just don't want to play a tower defense game. Even something that might be the best tower defense game ever, particularly if it looks like this. So, to avoid giving myself a emotional crisis there, I'm closing that tab. It's like, I guess I'm just not the right video game player to review tower defense games. Like, they're just not for me. And there certainly is good reason to not review games if they're not for you. For instance, on the Beastcast and the Giant Bomb team in New York, one of the guys reviewed the new Shaq Fu game, and he just hated it. He played the whole game, which is applaudable, certainly, but he just hated it. And so when he's did the quick look for it, he's just like, yeah, let's just get through this. I didn't enjoy any of this. This is not a great game. and so he immediately admitted he had lost any like any ability to have balanced reporting on it, which is, I think, probably going to be out of line with a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to like the Shaq Fu reboot, and we'll see reviews from people that actually play the game putting it somewhere, I bet, around the 70, maybe 60% rate. I'm not going to estimate it any higher than that because the game may not really be that good, but I don't think it also was as bad as Giant Bomb was reporting it. And they certainly joked about how they don't really review games they don't like anymore, and so it was weird that he even bothered to play it or continue playing it. What's secretly happening in the background of Giant Bomb is all of the reviewers are playing games for 5 minutes or an hour, and if they don't like it, they're just stopping playing it and not reviewing it. So they're losing any ability to find the good parts in good games, and frankly they probably also have long lost the ability to find any bad parts in good games. So yeah, they're just becoming by choice worse reviewers. I certainly, in comparison, like, I know a lot of the games in my library are pretty bad, and I want to play them at least until the point where I rage quit on them. And I want to try to find any good parts I can report up until that point.
Here we go.
I could probably look up Shaq Fu. Let me do that in a second here, and we'll see. We've got a game on Steam called Black Dream. It says it's a sexual content adventure indie anime cute game. It seems like it's an MS Paint drawn game of some sort, and I'm not sure what kind of game this is. It is it an RPG? It looks like it's like an RPG of some sort where you're
your magic shall not save you.
I played out of order.
Here we go.
Yeah, I don't know if this is an RPG or a puzzle game or what. Seems like it's kind of a meme game. It's kind of a meme game trying to be in an anime style, trying to be sexual.
Ready to ride.
And it looks awful in every single way. Like, whatever this is trying to be, it's certainly failing at it. 20% off for $3.99. No reviews. I don't think anybody would fall for this. Yeah. And this is the only game from this developer. It's certainly not a... It's certainly not the way to start your career on Steam. That is to have something that looks like MS Paint. In all likelihood, I could probably use some engine, if not Unity, some simpler engine like RPG Maker or Adventure Game Maker, and make a game. But I would never do that and put it out without having some artist to fill in the gaps of the lack of skill that I have as far as drawing, which is I have no skill drawing. It would look worse than an MS Paint game if I tried to make a game by myself. And because I know what it because I've done the first step of any project, which is do your research, like investigate what is required and what is being asked of you. I know that it is not acceptable in the end user, the game player's eye, to make a visually unappealing game. I wouldn't start a project unless I could have a visually appealing game. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just take 5 damage.
Here we go.
Do this. And the gem. Next game we have on Steam is called Me in Dungeons. It looks like it's a mobile phone port of, like, seems like it might be a clicker in the form of enemies constantly running towards you and you swinging a sword. So kind of a clicker, kind of a beat 'em up. Okay, you're walking at least, and you walk towards enemies. So I guess calling this a clicker is not exactly accurate. It's a run around action game, action, very little adventure that you could say this was. It says it's a casual RPG indie first-person shooter. It's not a first-person shooter. There's a sword here. Darn it.
Engaging TC-130 mental dislocator.
Here we go.
Let's just end the turn here. Yeah, Me in Dungeons doesn't look good enough. It's 20% off for $1.59. Yeah, it's just not good enough looking game. Maybe if I was playing it on the cell phone and then every now and then I could run around a dungeon-like area. Although these dungeons are above world, so they're not really even dungeons. They're on the surface. I believe I already talked about Enigma Prison. Let me see. Yes, I did. In the previous recording, so there's no reason to mention it again. Yes, it has caught my attention. Yes, I'll put it on my wish list.
Your magic shall not save you.
Here we go.
Man, so often playing Hearthstone, it feels like, yeah, I'm gonna win this. I've got it. I'm set. And then I just run out of steam because I push too hard and play all the cards, and then I just have no cards. And so anybody who plays with even the slightest bit of patience and strategy defeats me. I'm so bad at this game, and the game is, over the course of years, failed. I've been playing this more than 4 years. Yeah, it's not done anything to really encourage better play, and inherently, I think Hearthstone as a community, the game playing community of Hearthstone, should have improved in general. I should have improved. Everybody should improve. That's better for Blizzard. That's better for everybody. If there's strategy there, always, and less people just randomly throwing out cards. Moving on, Your Gamer has an article. Netflix's next batch of Castlevania episodes arrive in time for Halloween. Also, the quote-unquote season 2 of Castlevania on Netflix will be 8 episodes instead of 4 episodes because that was way too short. The first season was not really a season, it was just a slight introduction. However, you do have this whole, I believe Castlevania is owned by Capcom issue, where it seems like Capcom might want to stretch this out over and over and over again to try to get as many people as possible into the idea of watching Castlevania.
Do I have to?
It's gonna be a hard effort though to get to syndication, to get to 100 episodes at this rate. 12 episodes after 2 seasons, you'd have to go, well, you'd have to go another 10 seasons, wouldn't you? Whereas I would have thought it would have been smarter for them to have 25 really short episodes, because the episodes were already pretty short in Castlevania. And if they'd gone with that, then they could have, in 4 seasons, given more content, and doubling it to 8 in the 2nd season is still not enough. Problem here is also you're dealing with animation, and when dealing with animation, it's hard to get things animated, even if it is mostly just computer animation these days. So you have the whole Rick and Morty and Cartoon Network Adult Swim issue, where series that should have long since been finished and gone into syndication are nowhere close to that because of just how long it took to develop things. Bam, bam, win. I didn't need to win though. I'm supposed to be playing hunter cards, but I'll take any victory I can get. So we can get the season card back and maybe get up in rank play. I think getting away from rank 23 helps. Just getting away from the worst of the worst players helps improve my play a little bit. Let's see. StarCraft has an PC Gamer has an article about this game called Prismata, Prismata, which is a mutant hybrid of RTS and board games, and it works according to the title. The subtitles, it's like StarCraft without map control, or maybe Hearthstone without cards. Seems like there kind of are cards. I think I've seen this game Prismata before, and it did look like it was a weird experience. No, I don't think I have seen this game. It was a Kickstarted game in 2014, and it's on Steam Early Access. I'm not willing to immediately ignore this game. It's very positive, 96% of 94 user reviews in the last 30 days, and 78% in its lifetime. And yeah, it looks like a card game. Do I have enough energy in my life to play a second card game on top of Hearthstone? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on if this is a single player game, or it has a single player element that I can get done and just enjoy without having to do any of the online multiplayer. It has 104 Steam achievements, which that's certainly something Hearthstone doesn't have. It's still early access. It's $24.99 for the Founders Edition, and actually it's more expensive to buy it than it is to buy the Founders Edition bundle right now.
I wonder.
I'll wishlist this, but I'm not sure I'm going to spend $25 on what looks to me like something sort of like a card game, even if it really isn't a card game. That requires too much online multiplayer stuff. It's hard to believe that Prismata would be the game that succeeded to dethrone Hearthstone or win like the Valve card game and the game, the Witcher 3 Gwyn's card game didn't do that. Moving on, Your Gamer has an article. Valve quietly blocks new method to estimate Steam sales figures. Hot air is the subtitle. Let's see. A week ago, indie developer Tyler Glare suggested a new method to estimate the number of copies the game has sold on Steam. He did so via a Medium blog, which he gathered a fair amount of attention. A week on, Steam End reports onlookers suddenly noticed Glare's method was no longer working. Valve had quietly taken action to render it useless. At no point had the company commented on Glare's method or explained what and why it was changing the system to block it.
I wonder.
Like, all the meanwhile, Valve is saying that they are working on a method. Like, there's definitely reasons for this. That Valve would block this, and it's not really to even help Valve. It's to help other game publishers and developers. Like, they don't want that information public because it makes it worse for the companies. Anything that's worse for the companies is probably, in this instance, going to be worse for the video game industry as a whole. And while the news would love to know the exact sales numbers for every single game, reporting on that hurts the industry get funding and continue making games. Let's see. Like, in brief, Glale suggested using the percentage of people who had unlocked a particular achievement to then estimate a game's overall user base. Steam counted achievement percentages to 16 decimal places. So almost every game has an achievement that unlocks pretty early. A notable exception would be the game The Witness, which has only 2 achievements I can recall. One for beating the game and one for beating an extremely hard bonus puzzle.
I'm fast and furious!
So, yeah, I could certainly see that. There's another argument here, though, that maybe the method and the API key that he was using to access Steam's information and API in general simply only has so many accesses, and so he was accessing all of every single game and just in a way to stop too much processing or spam happening on their servers, they simply blocked or temporarily locked his user ID. There's talk here on Your Gamer about the GDPR. Like, frankly, if Your Gamer had problems with the GDPR, they should have dealt with it and fought against it becoming the law 2 years ago when it was first announced. I mean, it really is too little too late at this point. It is the law, and they seem to be fine with it. Like, it's really just baseless speculation that the GDPR had anything to do with this. In fact, we don't know what happened. Let's see, we already talked about Skullgirl's second encore heading to the Switch, so we don't need to talk about that. A lot of articles today were built around the exact same thing. Let's see. Do I want to die? Nope. PC Gamer has an article. Ubisoft lays out a plan to counter hackers on Rainbow Six Siege. Over 600 players using boosting services will be banned. This, I don't believe, is the first time that they've even said this. So apparently hacking in Rainbow Six Siege is still way too prevalent, and they feel a need to address it, whereas hacking in most games does not get any kind of reporting on whatsoever. 600 players hacking seems like it's a moderately small number of players, but there may only be 1,200 people playing in general, so that is, I guess, another consideration. Die here or die here? I don't think I'll ever play Rainbow Six Siege myself, so I don't have to really deal with that. We've got a game on Steam called Exotic Matter that is very pixely and blocky, and I'm not sure here. This half looks like it might be a little bit of a Minecraft asset flip with a laser gun to mine, and then it half looked like you're running around a facility opening doors. Yeah, it's probably an attempt to do something like Forever Stranded. Poisonous. And how are we gonna kill this now? This. And kill one of those. Kill one of those, I guess. Yeah, I don't think Exotic Matter is a unique enough game. It's early access, 10% off for $17.99. I don't really see gameplay here. I see an attempt to do a Minecraft game, and that's it. Next game we have on Steam is called Steampunker. Interesting name. It says it's an adventure. Has a interesting thumbnail, but what kind of game is it really? There's a phrase I haven't said in a while. Okay, I'm seeing a screen that sort of looks like you're wandering around a small ship doing some, it almost feels like it's a horror point and click adventure game. Like, I really can't make heads or tails out of half of this art, dude. It's so dark and visually busy that every scene takes too much focus and attention to look at everything. Okay, it is, watching the video now, a kind of like the cat lady but in color style.
You asked for it.
I'm assuming it's point clicker, but it may not even be that much. It may be a mouse, not a keyboard only game. So it has 30 mini games and puzzles. It's not going to be a very long game, I can almost guarantee that. But I'll certainly keep an eye on it. It's $6.99, maybe not the right price, but close enough. And the previous game made by this developer was called Steamberg, and it too has no reviews, so at least they're going with a Steam theme. So I'll keep an eye on it, although this is one of those games where 2-3 years down the line, it still may have no reviews, and I may just never play it because of that. Or maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, I'll have gone through my entire backlog of games that I want to play, and I'll be desperate to find anything new. And that certainly is a possibility also. I play this and this. TechRaptor has an article. The Nintendo Switch can now run emulated Nintendo 64 and GameCube games via hacking it and homebrewing it, which is great. Inherently, this is great for Nintendo too, because it tells them that they can, without having to spend as much work, make their own wrapper around some emulators, or make their own internal emulator to run those old games. Getting GameCube and Nintendo 64 games running is better than what a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus can be guaranteed to do. Like, I don't think Raspberry Pi 3 has enough power to run GameCube games at all, and it's very iffy about specific Nintendo 64 games. There's some that run fine last time I tried, but a lot that did not run fine. And of course, Raspberry Pi 3 compared to a Nintendo Switch is a significantly different amount of power, where a Raspberry Pi is only about $35 and a Switch is $250. So, for me, as somebody who has only maybe half a dozen, I'd say there's probably only about 6 games I'd want to play on the Switch right now. Some of the big ones like Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild and things like that. And I'm so far behind on Zelda games, I could go get a Wii U and play several Zelda games I haven't played, and probably never will play them. After those 6 Switch games, I could certainly see hacking a Switch, and maybe in a few years when the Switch is no longer the newest Nintendo console, maybe getting an old Switch and hacking it might be pretty cool for a portable emulating PC. It might be a very good solution for that. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article. Slay the Spire adds Face Trader event, new shop relics, and neat UI adjustments. At this point, it feels like Slay the Spire, which I believe is still in early access, is just getting overhyped. I do want to play Slay the Spire, certainly, but it's just PC Gamer's talking about it too much. They are reporting news about the game, but they're reporting updates about this game, whereas many other games are very consistently updating their product also, and nobody is caring one bit to report on those. Let's see. Probably the biggest news here, and I haven't done any research on this, but it's probably a great response that is going to get reported as a negative thing by the extremely liberal mainstream game media. We have Eurogamer phrase it this way. ArenaNet fires 2 Guild War II writers over a Twitter exchange with YouTubers. Quote, their attacks on the community were unacceptable. So we're going to have to see what they said and see if Eurogamer is going to say what they said and why they're they were attacking the community, or if they were attacking the community and such. That the thing here is definitely a case of, if you work for any company nowadays, you should not assume to speak for that company online at all. You should probably not even talk about your job or list your job. You should, at best, if somebody asks you something about something you're working on, you should just redirect them to the PR Twitter feed. In general, I'm to the point where I think it's okay for companies to say, you just can't be on Twitter. You can be on Facebook with everything set to private and you're only talking to your friends, but you can't say anything public, and if anything you ever say gets screenshotted and put somewhere else, made public, and makes the company look bad, we're just gonna fire you completely. Whether we agree with you or not, that's not it. If a controversy is caused because of what you said, that's unacceptable. I think that's gotta be the new policy for working at jobs. We have somebody on the chat, Adama, Adamai, saying hello. Hello, Adamai. So let's see. Let's continue down on this. There's an update too. It says they received word from ArenaNet statement. It reads, "We strive to cultivate an atmosphere of transparency around the making of our games, and we encourage our teams to be involved in the open, positive discussion with our community. Earlier this week, 2 of our employees failed to uphold our standards of communications with our players and fans, and they are no longer with the company." So the original story here is, ArenaNet has fired 2 writers ostensibly for their reactions to the Twitter comments from a partnered Guild Wars YouTuber. I wonder. Now, I know Boogie2988 was accused of, like, he was doing some Magic the Gathering coverage in the past, and then somebody didn't like what he said in a podcast and said that the Wizard of the Coast is never going to work with you again, and I'm not sure she had any authority to say that, and shouldn't have said it publicly at least. I mean, if you're going to blackball somebody, you don't say it out loud. But that's a side story. Let's go back with this story. Recently, 2 of our employees failed to uphold the standards of communicating with players, announced to ArenaNet. Their attacks on the community were unacceptable as a result of no longer with the company. I want to be clear that the statements that are made do not reflect our views of ArenaNet at all. As a company, we always strive to have a collaborative relationship with the Guild Wars community. We value your input. We make this game for you. The writers in question are Jessica Price, who has been with ArenaNet nearly a year, and Peter Fries, who's been with ArenaNet nearly more than 13 years. Alright. And haven't even gotten into the story yet, and I feel like this is gonna be some SJW stuff. It's gotta be. It always is. Every single day I see an article like this, it's always somebody doesn't agree with your opinion on something that's probably not even that big of a deal, and has now overacted horribly because of it. Let's see. Let's see. So Jessica Price was the one that's been there. Price expanded on the Reddit Ask Me Anything on a popular Twitter account on the 3rd July, sharing an insightful thread about writing blank canvas player characters for online and offline role-playing characters. So Your Gamer is saying they put this insightful descriptor here and editorialized there, where it should have just said a thread about writing blank canvas characters for online and offline role-playing games. That's propaganda when you add the word incitement. That's yellow journalism. It's sometimes as simple as just one word. Partnered Guild Wars 2 YouTuber Deroir, D-E-R-O-I-R, ArenaNet runs a partner program to help Guild Wars 2 content creators gain visibility, replied to Price's thread, disagreeing and offering his opinion on how it could have been done better in Guild Wars.
The light shall bring victory.
And so here's the first part of it. Is the dirty secret is I'm not sure if it's possible to make an MMORPG or a CRPG, as in what is that? Chinese RPG? What does the CRPG stand for in this instance? Character compelling, because people have difficult expectations about what the character will be. Sorry if I'm louder. I'm leaning forward to read this tweet because it's a picture and not as big of a font as I'd like it to be, as opposed to a pre-designed character or single player game. So Jessica Price is expanding on our MMA Ask Me Anything AMA article, saying the dirty secret is I don't know if I can actually do the writing that I think she's hired to do. So that's not a well-polished response in the first part.
Job's done.
She's saying she's not sure she can do what she's supposed to do as a writer, to write characters, because people have different expectations about what that character will be. Which is really just the worst way to write a character in the first place. It's like, you don't write a character for other people. You write the character that is inside your head that you can write well and fully flesh out. Otherwise it's going to feel bland. Otherwise it's going to feel polished and generic. Otherwise it's going to be a Mary Sue or something like that. It's this is one of those points where it's clearly the artist should say, screw other people's opinions. I'm going to write my character the way I want. I'm going to have Han Solo shoot first, even if everybody else hates it. I can't disagree with an artist's vision in writing characters. And as for what people expect, who cares? Give them what they get, and that's it. Dorori responded, really interesting thread to read. However, allow me to disagree, quote, slightly. I don't believe the issue lies in the MMORPG genre itself, as your wording seems to suggest. I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the living story's narrative design, one of 3. Let's see. So there's 2 other parts to that that are not being shown, so I'm trying to be as fair as possible here, and thinking maybe in the second or third statement Dureri gets more aggressive or says something more controversial, but I don't know. I don't see that part. This would have been helpful just for clarity for them to have shown all of the other tweets. The story continues. There was how Price responded to Dureri's tweets the next day, Independence Day, a national holiday in the U.S., where ArenaNet is based at the core of the issue. It says, quote, "Thanks for trying to tell me what to do internally, my dude. 9 out of 9, she replied. She then retweeted Detroit's remarks to her larger Twitter followers, saying, Today in being a female game developer, quote, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how to do your job. Yeah, okay, totally. That's not just an indicator of making the company look bad. That's an indicator of somebody who literally can't take criticism and is so wrapped up in the SJW thought that anybody disagreeing with you whatsoever, if you're a female, is being a misogynist and being sexist. It's just that victim mentality. So yeah, we don't need people like Price from that response in the game industry. They've already infected the game industry way too much. Getting rid of them is a good thing, in my opinion. Let's see. Minutes later, she added, like the next radio butt hat, although it's ASS hat, who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue to me, as if you know, having worked in the game narrative for a effing decade, I have never heard of it, is getting insta-blocked PSA. So, like, just on a rage. Just a totally inappropriate response. Not something you should do publicly. Not something that your co-workers want to hear internally, I imagine, either. Let's see. So what got the other guy in trouble? The discussion spread wider and people waded in from all sides. Peter Fries, the other writer fired by ArenaNet, jumped in at this point. This tweet has since been removed, but a cached version was saved. Fries, in response to someone complaining Price was playing the gender card, said, "Here's a bit of insight that I legitimately hope he reflects on. She never asked for his feedback. These are our private social media accounts." No, they're not. They're not set to private. You're talking Twitter. Twitter's not private. That's just a straight up lie. Twitter has never been a private way of having communications. That's not what Twitter is. So clearly he doesn't understand Twitter, and secondly, he's we've got a guy who in general parlance is white knighting, standing up for her, probably because he's also an SJW, maybe because he knows her personally, but
Welcome to my
certainly she called a storm of controversy, Jessica Price, onto herself. Let's see. What else did he say? Imagine if you're an astronomer and you start sharing some things you've learned in the last month since you've been researching on a research process, observing Saturn, only to have observation techniques explained to you by a layman. I imagine that does happen. I imagine it happens to everybody. Particularly if you're talking in public about your job. This is really just more evidence to my growing opinion that nobody should be allowed on social media in the video game industry. Nobody except for PR. And I don't even think it's specifically for the video game industry. I think just any job, you should not put where you work. You should have your private Facebook at best and not get on Twitter and not cause controversy. Jessica Price did an AMA, so she had already stepped potentially out of the bounds of what the company wanted her to do. Maybe they approved the AMA, but then I don't know why you would do that. So I got this pack that I'm opening right now on Hearthstone through a watch and learn. So I just wanted to point that out. So it wasn't the Asian account that had the watch and learn. Interesting. And that'll just all turn into dust, I'm sure. Yep. 5 cards dusted into 40 dust. But that leaves us with only one daily quest. Win 3 games with Paladin and Warrior. Let's do it. and after I get these done, I'll be done with everything I need to do. Let's play Secret Paladin. Yeah. Secret Paladin, we'll try that. Let's see, later, Fries added, today is a national holiday. It is the day off after working hard for months on recent content. If I'm being embarrassing and unprofessional, it's because I'm enjoying a beverage in the sun in my backyard, and this nonsense is being directed at someone I respect. Jessica is great at her job and deserves to be treated with respect, was the gist of what I was reacting to. So yeah, again, I can almost see had Fries just been a little bit smarter, he would have been able to stay out of this and not step into controversy. It feels a lot like how the creators of Firewatch stepped in the controversy and threatened to DMCA PewDiePie based on something PewDiePie did that had nothing to do whatsoever with Firewatch, and that caused them a lot of like problems. Certainly a lot of negative reviews on Steam. There's another quote here from Jessica Price. Since we've got a lot of hurt man feels today, let me make something clear. This is my feed. I'm not on the clock here. I'm not your emotional courtesan just because I'm a dev. Don't expect me to pretend to like you here. There's an argument that I may have made in the past if somebody, say, got arrested or did something off of the job, like say they got drunk at a bar and got arrested for bar fighting. There's an argument that if you work at McDonald's, that McDonald's shouldn't fire you for that immediately or at all, because you're just, if you're just a burger flipper at McDonald's, you're not really representing the company. That argument does not stand up well for video game developers who are at any time allowed in any way to represent the company. I think inherently all companies now want all employees to represent the company at all times, and it's crazy to demand a code of conduct, but it's kind of what we've gotten to, is that you have to act professionally even when you're not hired. Arguably, I would say both of these employees are probably salaried, so technically they're always on the clock. And no company is gonna waste time on defending a employee who does something that embarrasses the company. They're just gonna fire him. It's that simple. They're gonna take the path of least resistance. Let's see. Price made one more comment further into the evening. That they, yeah, we already talked about that. Let's see. Durere, apparently, the person who criticized her in the first place and set her off on what was a 2-day rant, came back and said, quote, "In a world where discussion should be encouraged and not belittled, yet the opposite becomes the reality, I've apparently found myself in the midst of a war I never intended to partake in. Disappointed, that's all. Hashtag I'm a feminist." And so, which I guess he felt the need to say that. Fair enough, since he was being accused of being a misogynist. I assume it's a he. The irony here would be even worse if Durere actually is a female. Neither Price, Fries, or Dory have responded to the Mike O'Brien's announcement, which was posted the 5th of July. And here's where Eurogamer's editorialization comes into question, and they start to add their own opinion. But why fire them at all? Why not give them a warning first? Were Price's comments really so strong as to warrant an automatic removal? Yes, absolutely. Just completely unprofessional. Like, I would not want to spend another day with an employee who did something like that publicly. How bad are they in private? Like, you have to kind of assume that they're going to be 10 times worse when people aren't looking, or that they're just so oblivious to the normal social norms and expectations. So yeah, Price, it totally makes sense. Fries, maybe you could give him a warning. He's also been there a lot longer, but you can always flip that the other way and say he's been there 13 years. He should have known better. It could also be that both of these are getting fired and then they'll just secretly get hired back. It's not the first time that there have been scenarios where companies have tried to kill controversy by quote-unquote firing the the offending employee and then secretly hiring them back later. But yeah, that certainly was that. Let's see if we can... We'll take a little bit of break on that conversation. I know there's several other articles about that, and so we'll see if there's something there that will add to the conversation. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So I need to kill this. Probably could have killed these two. There we go. We have a game called Draft Day Sports College Football 2018 on Steam. It's an indie simulation American football game. Graphics look alright, but it is mostly still just a spreadsheet game. And the whole idea of doing like a fantasy league simulation sports game, which Fantasy League is a little bit different. It seems like there are more games like this coming out. Maybe now is the time that games like that would certainly come out, but what I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna kill that, and win. So, while this isn't a game for me, I think College Football Draft Day Sports might be a game for people who like that. Although, their 2016 game Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2017 is negatively reviewed, and of the 6 other games that they have listed, none have ever gotten a positive review. So, this developer in this game may not be the right one to play. So let's move forward and keep on playing Secret Paladin. Don't break the streak. So, I believe this game was in early access and beta for a long time, because this is like a Jim Sterling game that he covered back when he was covering games as just kind of a ridiculous game. It's called Super Kinky. That's SUPER space KINKY in case you need to spell it. And it's kind of a Doom clone, just full of a lot of sexual references and like phallic shaped penis swords and you're fighting skeletons that are running towards you, in kind of an arena, and you're playing, I think, as the female character. They seem to have, I don't think they had this ghoul female-ish character before. So they seem like they've actually put some effort into this. This really did feel like a game that A, may never have gotten out of early access, and B, may have very possibly been banned. It feels like it also could have been held back a little bit. When you compare this to, say, Agony or Lust for Darkness, which came out in the meantime, Super Kinky feels a little bit tame in comparison. And that's kind of weird. I wonder if perhaps the fact that Valve came out with their no more censorship argument policy changed their release schedule, and they said, okay, now is the time to get this game out because we have the best chance we're ever going to get of not being disallowed on Steam. The problem though with Super Kinky is it's kind of a shame. I kind of want to play this game just for fun, but like it's not very good looking, and it's really horribly reviewed. See, there's just like girls in their underwear that are point pickups and health pickups. Otherwise, this just looks like a pretty badly animated arena demon shooter. And that's kind of it seems. So let's look at the reviews. The first review is not recommended. It says, look, I'm sorry for posting this, but I must. First off, I supported this game and its devs from the initial game greenlight submission to its release, and I was waiting in anticipation for this game. So it's been certainly a while.
The battle! The battle!
Also keep in mind that I realize this game is made by a very, very small team, but to me it's no excuse for a game of the quality I've experienced. It says, it goes on, it has a paragraph of map design. The first sentence says the map design is just plain awful. Let's see. Technical specs. I have a $1,000 computer with a GTX 1050 that runs games such as Alan Wake and Metro Redux at max setting with consistent 60 frames per second. This game is not graphically intensive at all and should therefore have no issues maintaining 60 frames per second. Gameplay, one of the few positives is the gameplay. Art design is fine, but not much time to look at it when we're not given much of a chance to really examine what is clearly a passion project from an artistic point of view. There's no pause menu, which is not excusable. Seems like there's no also like character 3D model mode, toggle at the character models, which would probably be appreciated from a game like this.
The battle! The battle! The battle!
Let's see. So a lot of people supported this. Here's a shorter review, not recommended. It says buggy as F, no video settings or Windows Move, consistently crashes with 2 monitors, super kinky but needs work, can't recommend it without the issue fixes. And so yeah, I'll keep an eye on this game, I guess, and wishlist it, but at mostly negative right now. 33% of the 15 user reviews in the past 30 days are positive, and 40% over the lifetime of this game as it's been in early access. And I'm pretty sure they've kind of toned down at least the screenshots in this game. Oh, and here's Jim Sterling in the game. So they've got a screenshot of a skeleton that looks exactly like the way Jim Sterling dresses up. So I wouldn't be surprised if you hear him talk about it again, assuming he wants to talk about video games. Which he probably doesn't too much these days. One of the things that
Let me light the way.
that was kind of interesting. Well, no, it wasn't interesting. It was downright boring and awful. Is the Jimquisition this week was mostly just a rant of all three of the people on Jimquisition, including Jim Sterling, against people who complain or criticize or comment on their YouTube videos. And I'm like, seriously, you guys need to get over this. You've been doing YouTube, you've been public figures for years now. You can't bring up this stuff. You can't play the victim and be butthurt that there are trolls on the internet. I don't know why people don't get that, or think they can get away with pretending like they're upset when they have no really right to be upset. Look, if somebody has called you a jerk every day of your life, you know they're going to continue to call you a jerk. You can't be upset the millionth time they've done it. Moving on, we have a game called Super... No, not Super SU. It's Supsu, S-U-P-E-S-U. Sounds like a Linux program for like rooting an Android, I believe is there's an Android app when you root your phone called Super SU, for SU standing for Super User.
For the light!
To battle!
This game, Supsu, is
Well played.
a single screen Unity game where you're rotating blocks. It's kind of like a puzzle, three-dimensional game. It looks interesting enough that I'm going to keep an eye on it and see if anybody will review it. Some of these single screen Unity games can introduce puzzle ideas that, like, this kind of is like an exploded Rubik's Cube concept. Might be a way to describe it. It's 40% off for $1.19, so I'm willing to run the risk on that. How much more news do we have? Well, I am learning to break up early and break up often. It's been an hour again, so let's break up here and do a third recording. My dreams of getting all of the news done in 2 recordings seem to be impossible. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, friend me on Steam, gift me a game. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.